Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome to our promo game from Diamond 2 to Diamond 1. A couple of things to, well, actually, I think three things to note as we dive into the start of this video. As you can probably tell immediately, there's no game sound. There is no game sound. This was recorded a few days ago, maybe about a week ago. It's been a little bit of time since I did record this particular video. So yeah, this was back when I was having those driver issues and the sound just kind of messed up. So yeah, for this video, not going to be any sound. So feel free. I've left kind of, I was thinking about putting background music in and I decided against it. I decided I would just stick nothing in and you guys can stick whatever kind of music you like and be just fine. We're on Sky Temple. So hey, if you want to be authentic, just search for Sky Temple and Heroes of the Storm music and you'll be fine. Also worth noting then, of course, because it was about a week ago, this was before the Zul'jin patch, and then, of course, the balance patch that came a couple of days after that. So, do bear that in mind, sort of like the old meta, where I banned out Raynor here, for example. This was when Raynor was still bugged and was still kind of OP. The enemy team did first pick Thrall, which I think is an excellent choice. They also banned out Artanis, which I think is an excellent choice. We grabbed Rhaegar and the Falstad. Not a huge fan of the Falstad pick, to be completely honest. Not a huge fan, but you can sort of see what he's going for. He's picking Falstad, you know, obviously a good hero on this map on Sky Temple, and also to have the Mighty Gust to disengage from a potential, you know, Bloodlust combo with the Earthquake. You know, Thrall throws down Earthquake, they pop out Bloodlust. Oh shit, what do we do? Ban, or we can Bloodlust them away. So we're considering here as well whether to ban Rhaegar or whatnot. Now, I don't want to play Rhaegar personally in this particular match, but there will be a Rhaegar game out during this week, I can promise you that. And then this Morton guy isn't hovering anything either. Now, it is worth noting in the previous game, I did play with this Morton guy and he is silenced by me. He was basically, in the previous game, he was being very uncooperative in the draft as well. Not with me, but with a couple of other players. And he was just, honestly just started raging and flaming at those other players and then refused to pick. I think we needed a warrior at that stage and he refused to pick a warrior. And I think he just played Ragnaros or something like that. But yeah, he was a bit of a jerk. So I did, you know, I did silence him there. So potentially he is saying something right now. I don't know. I doubt it. But hard to say. Anyway, you can see at this point he is like switching over to Tychus. So kind of leaving us 3 ranged damage dealers, which is not good at all. And then leaving us with, basically we would have had Solo Warrior Dahaka. We still need a support, obviously. And yeah, I really think another warrior would have been a good choice. He decides to go for Tychus, which is a good choice, especially against Diablo. I was considering, I think it was Gul'dan there towards the end myself. I think it's pretty good. Would have been nice sustained AoE damage against this sort of melee heavy team that they've got. They also have got very little dive, right? And that's very important. That was part of why I was considering the Gul'dan, is that we would be able to actually stay fairly safe. Remember, Gul'dan's pretty short range. He's pretty short range. We would have been able to stay pretty close to him and just be firing off, you know, just multiple spells with very little fear. We'd be a little scared of the Diablo, but not too scared. You can see, very nice. We're Diamond 2, but we are the team captain for this master player. That's always good. We'll get there. We'll get there. A lot of masters in the enemy team. Whatever, it doesn't really make much difference, honestly. We do finish out our draft. So I did grab Muradin, but anyway, I was pretty tilted going into this game. I was pretty pissed off that he would hover ETC and then change to another ranged damage dealer right at the end of the draft. I really dislike the choice of going for 3 ranged. I think that's very bad. Admittedly, like I said, they don't have much dive, but I just don't think 3 ranged is very good. I think it leaves you very vulnerable in terms of moving around the map. It leaves us very vulnerable in terms of what heroes are actually able to solo shrines effectively. We'd just be lacking in that. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the choice. And then left me kind of scrambling, actually, to pick a warrior. Had to switch and grab Muradin. I honestly kind of panicked. I didn't even have time to think of what hero would be ideal. I was just like, crap, we need a warrior. Muradin, he's always a good choice, like a solid choice. He's dependable. So I just grabbed Muradin. I didn't even have time to think about which other warriors were still up, which ones I could potentially grab. So we were kind of left with that. I was pretty frustrated. For example, probably ETC would have preferred to play ETC, but was kind of panicked and didn't get that. Also banned out Falstad, Rhaegar, which is probably a mistake, but oh well. Anyway, Falstad's going to go bot at start. That's fine. We're scanning this out. Not too worried. Anyway, I do feel like I was fairly tilted in this game. You're going to see that. That's kind of the third thing to mention as we go into this as well. Definitely pretty grumpy. Like, this was during the time period as well where I was sick. I recorded, I think, 3 or 4 games during like one particularly lucid period. So yeah, I was particularly lucid, but not in a particularly good mood. I'd say a good word to describe it would be uncompromising. Would be the attitude. Was not too happy with some of the stuff going on. I think that'll actually carry out through the next few videos you'll see on the channel. I'm better now, pretty much, so that's good, but at the time I was pretty grumpy. See, Falstad's almost dead already, which is nice. So we're going to come down and just, make sure we soak the lane for him. It actually looks like he didn't use Fly, or else Fly's back off cooldown right now because he's going back to that lane, so that's fine. We're going to rotate back towards middle and just protect our teammates where they're also losing the lane, which is a little bit worrying, but we'll see how it goes. The enemy team actually has got multiple pretty strong solo laners, whereas we don't have that many that are that good. Falstad's very good. Falstad Thrall's a pretty even matchup. Thrall pokes Falstad down. Falstad can just fly back in after Hearthstone to heal up with no certain native healing himself, really. Vala actually is probably pretty good against Dehaka because she can just kite him. So that's a bit unfortunate. Dehaka's our only really good solo laner. Tychus is okay. Murden can actually kind of just live in a solo lane, though he's not going to do anything in it. Falstad's good, but yeah, as you can see, we kind of took a quick glance up top. Dehaka's having a bit of a tough time against the Vala, just because she is able to. Dehaka should outpush her quite rapidly, and she'd be pretty vulnerable to ganks, but definitely need to be careful. Missed a Stormbolt there, need to be careful. Ragnarok's popped in to the fort right at the start, so he's throwing some damage out. He actually hasn't hit that many skill shots though with that, so that's pretty good. We take some damage, but we avoid, I believe we avoided the E right there. It's fine, we're able to stand on this point, actually focusing down this Diablo. He's almost dead, so that's good news. We grabbed a regen globe as well for our teammates and ourselves too, and we're just focused on taking as much of this middle shrine as possible. Try to Stormbolt the Vala, but she does vault forwards to secure that kill, so we're not able to do too much. We dwarf toss over the wall to escape as Thrall roams up from the top. Falstad actually Hearthstone back again. I believe he also once again losing out the lane to the Thrall and not managing his rotations very well. It's pretty critical of the Falstad this game. Pretty critical of the Falstad. I think it's one of those cases, where he was obviously trying to be a bit of a team leader in the draft and stuff and make some shot calls, and that's great. But then I also felt like in the gameplay it was not, particularly at the start here, at least so far into the game, I think you can see just not being particularly impactful. He's just kind of maintaining a losing lane. He's not losing too bad, but, he's not had actually any impact on the map so far. He hasn't been there for anything, unfortunately. At this point, Tychus is rotating down. We're just going to chill here, actually scout stuff out, make sure they're not taking the siege camp, which is quite likely, and rotate down, try to grab this. Unfortunately, we missed the Stormbolt. I think we're just a little bit too slow, so I'm just saying, my bad. I think it's understandable. We just about missed out that opportunity, but there's no harm in just being nice to your teammates and saying, sorry guys, we tried for the gank, wasn't quite there on time. Bad luck, pretty much, mostly, but no harm in saying, hey, sorry guys, my mistake. And we're going to grab this siege camp. Great time to get it is right at this point, kind of early between the ending of the first set of temples and then the start of the second set. And again, I feel like these guys were a little bit slow to get there, right? I'd like to see them be a little bit quicker. I think it's a pretty obvious thing to do is to grab the siege camp. You can see the enemy team had the same exact idea. But basically the point is that you get the siege camp, you get them pushed in, and then you hopefully destroy the gates. And then even better if you could destroy the healing fountain down the bottom lane. Sets you up so well for a good start into that bottom temple phase. It's much easier if they don't have towers to retreat to just that close, and even better if they don't have a healing well that you can grab. It lets you, if you still have your towers in your gate and your healing well and the enemy team doesn't, it makes it so much easier to win that bottom temple phase and to start snowballing the game on this particular map. Actually, the mercs on this map are very important. Grab the siege camp early after the first temple phase, try push it in as aggressively as you can, and then pick up the bruiser camp. This is also, good call from Dehaka to pick this up. Pick up that bruiser camp, then later after that first phase, but grab it before the second temple phase begins. As you can see, this should work out roughly, fairly perfectly. We're a little bit slow, but not too slow. Falstad's arriving. This is fine. So you have that bruiser camp split pushing as the second temple phase starts. So our team, we're making our way down. Dahaka and Brightwing, they're just going to be pushing against each other up top. You can see the enemy team also on point with the Merc camps. They got their bruiser camp as well. They're going to be probably a little bit late getting down here. And that's good for us. We could maybe look into pushing in pretty aggressively, considering whoever took that camp might be a little bit slow to get in. You can see that's exactly what I'm doing. Thrall's actually in the mid lane, so this definitely lets us push in pretty hard. Brightwing and Dahaka can obviously arrive at any moment. They're just going to be trying to clear out those Merc camps as quick as they can. Notice that Diablo went really, really deep, so we're just diving on top of him. Nice attempt by Diablo to queue away onto a minion to escape, but the teammates do hunt him down. Well played by them. Karazim's in a bit of trouble. Does manage to dash out, and Ragnaros doesn't quite finish him off with those shots launched from the fort. Tychus is focusing on this bottom fort, but Dahaka arrives in and really screws it up. Honestly, Falstad re-engages and goes down. Karazim does the same thing, gets picked off, and we are on the run. Dahaka goes down as well. So that fight went really, really badly. I think a huge part of what happened there, actually, we didn't quite catch it all on camera, but I think Dahaka really messed that fight up in quite a big way. We had hit level 10 right there. Again, like, we wouldn't have heard like the level up pings or the Dahaka entering the fight sounds and stuff like that. But we did hit level 10, and he burrowed in. I think he was a bit late on the burrow. Then he didn't grab his heroic, didn't use it, so he didn't have the heal. He just like burrowed in late to the fight, walked through the enemy team, and just basically went at 20% health, and actually didn't achieve anything. So basically his presence in the fight was completely neutered. He didn't actually do anything. I mean, something as simple as, you know, picking his heroic while he was burrowing down or something like that would have made it succeed. This Thrall's gone really deep, so we're going to focus him down, get that Stormbolt there as he runs through the brush. He had nowhere else to go at that point. Nice collapse by the team, recognizing he's out of position. And we are losing the game, but it is not too bad, so that's fine. I presume that Karazim is talking to Tychus. Remember, I had silenced the Tychus in the previous game, which is unfortunate. Again, we're obviously missing out on a little bit of chat. It's one of those things that's really difficult to do. I think, you know, that's why it's so important, you know, not to flame people, or to really try to resist flame people as much as you possibly can, because you could have this sort of situation where you were just completely out of line flaming in the previous game. Again, I can't show you that, but he was completely out of line, just being a real asshole, like just accusing someone of being a boosted account and being just really nasty. So, you know, you do that, you get silenced because no one wants to listen to your shit. And then if you are trying to say something useful, well, hey, you might be silenced in the next game. I'm like kind of fine with it, honestly. Whereas I can think of very few examples of where people actually said something genuinely useful in chat. I actually can't think of any off the top of my head, which is kind of sad, but there you go. Falstad flew into the enemy siege camp and died horribly. So I was kind of laughing at this stage in the game, or in a very, well, more like please kill me kind of way. I was very tilted playing this game, to be honest. But yeah, I was kind of like at this point going, wow, you know, the two globals on our team have actually helped the enemy team more than they've helped us. We've had Dahaka burrow in and get himself basically killed at that bottom temple fight. Now we've had Falstad fly into the enemy siege camp and literally get himself 100% killed. So yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. We've got two globals on our team. We're 9 minutes into the game and the globals have hurt us more than they've helped us. That's really bad. It's really, really bad. Anyway, we're getting this middle temple, so it's not too bad. We've hit level 13 as well, so we are kind of even in talent tiers. Falstad is defending. He's having a bit of a tough time, so I'm going to Hearthstone out. Karazim is going to be able to solo this, no problem. We only need one of us here to solo it. Notice that Tychus is fighting the Valos. Actually cancel out of that and try to get maybe a pick on her. Dahaka is burrowing in. We notice the Ragnaros is actually super, super deep, so ping that we're coming. Here we go. Diablo is actually behind us. Gonna jump forwards. Missed the Stormbolt, unfortunately, which is a big mistake. But Falstad is running, scared. The enemy team arrives. They kill the Tychus. And he goes down. I think big misplay from Falstad. Also, for me, missing the Stormbolt, should have held onto it for longer. But yeah, we were arriving. The Falstad just didn't commit. If he had just gone forwards for a few attacks, we would have at least killed, who was it, Ragnaros? And that wouldn't have been so bad. Dahaka arrives in and dies, unfortunately. So yeah, this game is kind of quickly going to shit just from some really poor moves overall. One of the things I have to say that I was critical of myself in this game, and some of the ways that I feel like the tilt was manifesting itself. Like, for example, right there, the Stormbolt against that Diablo, there's literally nothing to gain from it. Like, yeah, sure, you stun the Diablo, but you're just kind of wasting mana. And this is pretty good. Brightwing overextends, so that is good. That's exactly what we need. And we do collapse well on her and pick her off. You can see I held on to the Stormbolt there until the end, knowing that, well, hey, we've got a Kerosene, we've got a Falstad. We don't actually have a stun apart from my Stormbolt. So if I waste the Stormbolt near the start, Brightwing could potentially teleport out and escape that gank. So important to hold on there to at least one stun to interrupt her attempted phase shift and prevent her from doing that. So we're pinging on the boss here, and this is pretty good. This is a nice way actually to catch back up in this game. We are a level down. It is a talent tier level, so that's pretty important. But with Brightwing dead, this is a good opportunity. We do need to do this quickly, and that's kind of important. Something to note there that happened as well that very much stood out to me during the game was that we pinged and said, like, go check boss, and Dahaka burrowed top at that stage. So that's like just really bad team play. Honestly, it's like your teammates and the rest, your other 4 people on the team are going towards the boss, and Dahaka used the Brush Stalker to go top. Like, potentially it's like a fairly innocent mistake. He'd already kind of planned the action out and was executing it when he saw the chat. But definitely something to watch out for. Now that Stormbolt was good, you know, stun Vala, slow her down that tiny little bit so the boss gets a little bit more value, wastes a bit more time. Having a tough choice here, deciding what talent to pick up at level 16. Do I want more damage? Do I want to slow the enemy team down? I'm not really sure what to get or what to do. Looking for an aggressive pick on the Thrall here. He was out of position, but Diablo does arrive and we get focused down. Now we're able to make it out okay, but was a little bit of a gnarly situation. Unfortunately, just trying to get that aggressive pick on Thrall. Dahaka did not come to that fight, which is why we ultimately lost it pretty badly. And then you can see that's definitely tilt for me, doing a sort of a lazy Hearthstone right there in the middle of the enemy team. Thrall, good work from him. He knows exactly what's up. He moves forward aggressively, trying to catch us out. Throwing down my W just to try slow them down, but with the movement speed, they're able to chase down and kill Kerosene. Dahaka and Falta this time they're over there. They're gone. They're gone. They want nothing to do with this. But yeah, Dahaka was focused on finishing off a fort up top instead of coming down to the team fight. So that is why it went wrong. Again, though, I did pick it fairly aggressively. But I would also, at some stage, have to expect that you're actually going to show up and follow up on that stuff. Thrall was out of position. If anything, you could say you potentially, I was a bit slow actually executing on that and going forwards. This guy scanning stuff out. Figured someone was near here, and we do see that. I think it was probably Vala, actually. I didn't quite catch it while I was coming. Yeah, probably Vala was doing this exact same thing. At this stage, you see this Vala is very much out of position. You can see just how much damage we can do to her as Muradin. It's not too shabby. I do have Dwarf Toss coming back up, so I'm not too worried about this. We've got our E. Now that was a bit of a panicked Stormbolt, so we missed that. But with Healing Static, with our W, we should be able to get out of this just fine. We have to pop the Heroic because Vala pops Strafe. Our other teammates have arrived at this point. I'm going to focus Thrall down a bit. You can see once again, Dahaka arriving late once again to the team fight and then just diving the enemy team by himself. This guy was completely clueless on how to engage in Dahaka. It was just really, really bad. Falstad gussed them away again too late. At this point, it's kind of going like, oh my god, please. But it's like, where is the Gust for the whole previous bit? Like, where was Gust? Where was Falstad? Why is this Dahaka continually like diving the enemy team randomly? I was kind of initially thinking, okay, this would be a decent time with Dahaka dead to just grab our bruisers, do something safe. Then I realized that obviously they're going to be pushing in and trying to finish off this keep. Probably can't stop it, but we should at least try. Maybe they'll overextend, make a big mistake. Looks like they almost do it. Diablo going very, very low indeed. But the fort does go down. Thrall is chasing us. We're able to back up and survive though. And we will regenerate our health at this low level pretty quickly because we are Muradin. Looking for a max range Stormbolt on the Vala. Don't manage to get it. We're going for a sort of, bit of a low percentage play there, but it would have got us a bit of an in back into the game, maybe if Vala had overextended, but she did back off and dodge it. Didn't actually get anything out of it. So we're down level 19 to 17. The enemy team about to hit 20, which is going to be a big problem for us. 2 temples activating. They're almost definitely going to get both of these. We'll see exactly how it goes. We grab this bruiser camp, which is fine. We can push forward now. Potentially, actually, we should just try to take a fight aggressively here before they hit 20, so they don't have that talent tier advantage. It looks like they're about to hit it. They actually grab 20 right now, which is pretty awkward for us. Just going to grab this vision point, try to deny it. And now we're in a very, very awkward spot. Just trying to knock actually the spell shield off of what's his face, Ragnaros. Actually, a bit of an overextension there, and then this is just a series of beautiful plays from the enemy team. Really nice engagement by the Thrall. I don't know if you saw that. He bolted the storm into our team and threw out the earthquake. Really nice moves. Falstad goes to Tychus goes down first, followed by Falstad, and then Karazim. The Falstad is raging at Dahaka. Again, I think Falstad was not killed by that. He was killed by something else. So anyway, I'm just going to report him. As I said, definitely uncompromising and a bit too far forwards. I think the report there against the Falstad was justified. I don't think the one against the Dahaka was justified, though. That was definitely showing just my frustration and the tilt. And it's definitely one of the issues, right? Actually, this is very relevant to you guys and kind of the games that you're going to be playing probably, and how I think it's a very common thing that happens to people. But definitely at this stage, because, you know, I wasn't playing over Christmas, it has reached the point where, you know, we're playing now with legitimate, like, diamond type players, which means that the level of play is considerably worse than what I would be expecting or used to. And this is exactly what happened in the previous season to me as well. Just this psychological problem, which I want to talk about at the end. I might actually take a break, come back to that in a second. We'll just take a look at this stuff here. So we did lose our promo game. Unfortunately, there are the stats. But like Dahaka's hero damage and Falstad's hero damage is really, really bad. You can see we almost did as much damage as Falstad, our assassin, as Murden, which is not good. Hilariously, we still have enough points to do another promo game, so that's nice. You can check back for that one tomorrow. But I do want to finish talking about the psychological point, and in particular those two reports, and why in particular that last one was unjustified. But definitely this is something that happens to me. Like I said, at this stage, as you saw by like the rank points, how little we lost, we're getting huge personal adjustment, right? We should be playing with kind of like Grandmaster standard players. That's what the MMR is. That's why we're getting this huge personal adjustment at this stage in our Diamond 1 promotion game. Or going up to Diamond 1. I think that's the best. I never quite know which way to call the promo games. Like, do I call it a Diamond 2 promotion game or Diamond 1 promotion game? I decided to call it, you know, a Diamond 1 promotion game. And then, like, because for example, at the highest level, you would have like your Grandmaster promotion game, which is your promo to Grandmaster. So therefore, the promo to Grandmaster being Grandmaster promo, that would be then promotion to Diamond 1 would be Diamond 1 promo, right? That's my logic. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but it's something, this is a flaw in my own play and personality that I have come to notice, which is that I get very frustrated with the sort of, the mistakes and the level of play that happens when I'm climbing up the sort of the diamond ranks. I find it very frustrating, particularly playing warrior or support. That's what I found especially. I don't get as annoyed when I'm playing assassin for whatever reason, just the style of play, but I get very frustrated with teammates and stuff when I am playing on a warrior or support, because I feel like they're not following up on calls right and stuff like that, because it's just a lower standard of play. And instead of adjusting to that, or instead of, you know, accepting it and, you know, just being like, oh, because I know it's the case, right? I know it's the case. I know when we're playing the Diamond 2 promo game, you're going to have a certain standard. And instead of, you know, accepting that and being cool with that and playing with that expectation, instead what I do is I get frustrated. And that's wrong. And it's very important, especially for you guys that are feeling like you're playing below your level or whatever. Again, I think you need to look at what you need evidence to justify it. You know, in this case, I can point towards, hey, there's the personal adjustment, there's the proof, and that's, you know, that's fine. At that stage, you can start to get, you can, you know, start to say, okay, I'm kind of justified in saying we ought to be higher because it's literally what the game is saying. But do be careful about that. But anyway, the point is that let's say you are legitimately supposed to be at a higher ranking. It's very important that you do not get frustrated like I was getting frustrated in this game, but instead that you try to control that frustration and adjust your playstyle, accept and anticipate and expect that the level of play is going to be the level of play of where you are currently ranked, that's what you're working with, and also that's what you're playing against. Remember, like, for example, the Ragnaros was way out of position in bottom lane. We should have capitalized on it more, unfortunately. The Falstad kind of, in my opinion, screwed that up, and I also missed that stormbolt, and it didn't work out. Or then the Brightwing also did the exact same thing, overextended in bottom lane. We actually did kill the Brightwing, and that gave us a nice in into the game, taking the boss, for example. So the enemy team is also making mistakes, and you need to accept that, and that is like the meta you are playing. And that is what you're being judged off as you climb, is can you play well in this environment, which is you are the higher skill player playing in a level that is slightly below where you should be. If you can you pull that off? It's a different thing to playing with equally skilled players. The most important thing to adjust to that is to keep your cool and keep calm and confident. And I think, yeah, expectation is a big part of it. But you can definitely see, I definitely noticed as well myself that I was less accepting and less cool with stuff while I was sick. I just get grumpier when I'm sick. I also have hay fever. I'm better now, thank God, but I'll have hay fever starting in 2 months, so you'll no doubt see me get really grumpy. It starts around halfway through March. You'll probably notice me get grumpier in Hero League at that stage and rage more as well. But yeah, it's just the way it is. Anyway, I stopped playing after this game. I was like, I wanted to play another promo game, but I was like, no. Okay, you're getting grumpy. You're getting critical. I walked away from this game going, oh, dude, actually, that was a bit uncool to report Dahaka. That's definitely tilt and rage, so I stopped. But yeah, I think with the Dahaka, I think I probably have a relatively recent false start game. I don't think it was that great though. But I do have, if you search for Dahaka, there's a good Dahaka game on the channel. And that can just show you the difference in the playstyle. Because I think there's a huge difference. I really feel like I feel like the false start player was fine. I just feel like he was mechanically quite unskilled from my perspective, which sucked. I feel like the Dahaka player was just completely out of whack with how to actually fundamentally play Dahaka, what you're actually fundamentally trying to do. Again, if you want to see kind of more in depth what I'm talking about, there was a fairly recent Dahaka game. It was on Sky Temple as well that I did. I didn't even think I played that well in that game, but it was much, much better than that Dahaka's playing in that one. But Dahaka, burrowing into fights in the appropriate moment, being this tank, and again, actually the Dahaka game I'm talking about was before Dahaka's kind of mini rework there. So Dahaka's actually more powerful now than he was when I did it. But Dahaka does a lot of hero damage. He's a very, very high damage, warrior. Also now with adaptation being buffed, which is what our Dahaka was using, he's also substantially tankier. Like I said, he's just much better now. But, that's the thing, like, I was getting frustrated in this game, and the reason I reported him for non-participation was that I kind of felt like this dude is like trolling or something. It's just, I felt like he's playing really badly. The issue was, he's just, we're talking about kind of like Diamond 2, Diamond 1 level. I don't think he played particularly well for that. But again, I'm sort of walking into it with an expectation, I think, of kind of like a master, grandmaster kind of standard of play. And that's not a fair way to judge these particular games. And that is why I'm getting more frustrated than I should have been, and 100% that Dahaka report was out of frustration. The dude, he was pinging his abilities, he was pinging stuff, he was trying to organize, taking merc camps and things like that. I think, he just kind of screwed up the Dahaka play. Honestly, he had some really bad engagements, like really bad ones. But I don't know, I feel like I was judging that much too harshly, much too harshly. But yeah, like I said, check out the Dahaka video I did if you want to see. But again, like I said, I made a lot of mistakes in that Dahaka video. It's funny. I kind of felt that I wasn't playing it that well, but apparently I probably was playing it pretty well, actually. I don't know. But you can check that out and see just how effective Dahaka can be in these team fights and what you should actually be trying to do in these team fights. Because it's night and day. It's like playing two different heroes. But anyway, it was a tough game there, that one. We lost our first promo attempt to Diamond 1. Feels bad, man. Feels real bad. We'll be back next time. The sound will be working, though. We're making a second stab at getting up to Diamond 1 and then continuing the climb. And then just bring you different games on different heroes. And like I said, we're going to be working at doing much more rank stuff. I do think that I've already recorded the next few games for the next few days for the channel. The gameplay, not the commentary. And I'm kind of doing this intentionally, and then I'm working on some pretty cool actually videos, I think, for the next few days, like kind of different ones, a lot more work going into them, and I'm excited to see what you think, kind of new series, so there's a lot of work that goes into new series and stuff like that, so hopefully you will enjoy them. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, but I was kind of still a bit sick doing those as well, so also grumpier than I ought to have been. It's just the way of it. But hopefully that's something I want to improve on this season in particular, is manage my grumpiness and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't think it translated hugely into my play. I think in this particular game, for example, I still played a fairly solid Muradin. You missed a few a few more storm bolts than I would have had. You're always going to miss some storm bolts, but missed a few more than I ought to have missed, and then was playing it's really hard. It's really hard to judge, but maybe playing a little bit too much. You could say that's one of the tough things is like how much should you adjust your gameplay to fit in with your teammates, but it can be really hard to judge from game to game. So, and at the same time, it's kind of going like, oh well, should I have adjusted more my expectations to play better with these guys? Or is that too much to ask? And bear in mind that our personal adjustment is so huge that we're not actually here for long. We're climbing really quickly. So it does get very difficult to actually get a feel for the sort of standard that your teammates will actually be and how you ought to play. That is a difficult thing to do. So I don't know, that potentially is something I can improve on, but I'm also I find that I do think that's a difficult thing to do fully. I think but the thing you want to do is adjust your psychological, your attitude towards it, and walk away with a positive attitude at least, and just kind of accept that, oh, hey, I kind of thought that, Falstad would like dive forward aggressively and get the Ragnaros who's out of position. He didn't do that. And, you might say, okay, well, it's kind of unfortunate that my expectation of what happened was kind of out of kilter with what actually did, and accept that, might lead to mistakes in the game, but the crucial thing is not to leave that to getting really frustrated and then like reporting people that don't deserve it. Anyway, that's what I think about that. Let me know what you think down in the comments. It's kind of interesting. And there you go. Feels bad we lost our first promo, but we'll see how things go in the future. I'll see you guys all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye bye.